Good afternoon. This is Steve again, and today we're going to be talking about air filters. Air filters in your car is something that we don't normally think about when we do a lot of our everyday travel. The problem with air filters is just like the filter in your home, eventually it gets dirty. And a lot of us that do a lot of off-roading don't seem to remember that because it's a lot of intake. Let's take a look at this Jeep for a second over here. This Jeep is filthy. It goes off-roading every weekend, or almost every weekend, even on pre-runs to test a trail that I'm going to take a group out on. That's something that we don't think about is, I didn't think of all that dust because we don't think about it. So now, let's put a thought into it for a moment. I'm right here. Air filter gets dirty. We suck in air. That means we're sucking in dust. Now we're going to start to collect all this dust as we travel around, whether it be going to work every day, going to your local store, going to your favorite shopping area, or even trying to hit the trail. And let's consider the fact that everywhere you drive, you're sucking in a lot of air. So there's going to be a gang of dust going to your trail, along your trail, getting off the trail, and on your way back home. Now this is what's going to keep your engine from breathing. Imagine wearing your face mask, the one that you've been mandated to wear everywhere you go. Now, consider how hard it is to breathe with that mask on. Now imagine you had a coat of dust or dirt over it. It has just become harder to breathe. That is the same issue with your engine. Your engine is not being able to breathe enough because of all the congestion in the filter, which would in this case be the mask. So in order to continue to breathe appropriately and yet keep all the debris out of your engine, you either need to replace your air filter regularly, even though regular maintenance may say every 15,000 miles, but let's get real here. Environmentally, every location is different. Some locations may require you to change your air filter more frequently than others. If you can't clean it, replace it. If you have a rechargeable air filter, clean it, recharge it, put it back. Let's take a look here for a moment. I am going to take a look at two Jeeps right now. I have them with me. They're both facing each other, and we're going to take a look at both engine bays to get an idea of what we're talking about. Alrighty, so I'm definitely outside of my house with both of my Jeeps. I have a 2017 JK and a 2018 JL. Let's take a look at the JL for a second over here. Now this is a total stock vehicle. Engine bay is completely stock. Air filter is completely stock. So why don't we take a look at this air filter right here so we can see how filthy it is. There has been a few times that we have taken this Jeep out, but it is mostly a daily driver. So we're going to find out the condition of this air filter. So it looks like the fasteners are actually a bit tight on this. I'm going to go ahead and get this loosened up. I'll be right with you after I have this prepared for you. Alrighty, we went ahead and prepared this air filter housing. As I mentioned, it is a stock assembly. Oh wow, it's a good one. There it is. Alright, so here's the factory air filter. It, for all intents, is dirty. This is the type that's not cleanable. It's replaceable, so you definitely have to go to your local parts house, pick yourself up a replacement. If you want to go to the dealer, that's really your call, but other models by other manufacturers at a lesser expensive rate are available at your local auto parts store. But for right now, let's see if we can just beat out a little of the dirt out of this. Ooh! Alright, so right now it may not look any cleaner, but I did manage to beat out a lot of dust of it, so it's going to be good for right now until I make it to the auto parts store to get a replacement filter for this thing. I am going to go ahead and reassemble this for the moment. I'll be back with you in 2 seconds so we can take a look at the 2017 JK. Alrighty, now we're finished working on the 2018 JL for right now, so let's take a look at the 2017 JK. Let's take a look at this engine bay. Tell me that's not dirty. My goodness, this thing sees a lot of filth. And what we're going to look at today is this assembly right here. This is not a factory air cleaner system. This is a K&N. It's aftermarket. It is K&N's FIPK kit that is specifically chosen for this vehicle, only because I have been an off-road enthusiast for a while, including race cars and hot rods. And the dyno test on this actually proved to give me about another 12 horsepower. So I went ahead and I elected to go with that system. But tell you what, let's go ahead and we're going to go back to this engine right here. We're going to open up this container right here that has a filter. We're going to remove all 4 of these screws. We're going to remove the filter, and then we're going to see how dirty it is. Hopefully at this point, I'm going to see how much dust we have. I'm going to show you how filthy these filters can get. And then we're going to move forward to clean it, since this is the rechargeable type. Already at this point, I've already removed the 4 screws that hold up the housing. So let's take a look at this filter and see how filthy it is. Wow, look at that. Now that is a lot of filth. This should be a nice pink oil. You can just tell it is filthy. It's not caked. I've seen it dirtier than this, but a little is a lot when it comes to dust and dirt. So we're going to remove this by unscrewing this screw right here for this band. We're going to remove this filter, and we're going to go clean it. So at this moment, just give me a sec. I'm going to give me a screwdriver. We're going to take this off, and then we're going to go ahead and move forward to cleaning it. You know, before I get to the cleaning part of it and taking it off, it's simple to remove. The band just takes a flathead screwdriver, or I believe an 8 or 10 millimeter nut that does the tightening or loosening of the band itself to release it from its housing. But let me just be clear. Again, I'm using a K&N air filter system, so I will be using K&N products. Now, let me just reiterate that I'm not plugging the product. It just happens to be the one that I use. So instead of me just trying to be a smart engineer of some sort, thinking I'm smarter than the manufacturer, I'm not. I'm just going to use their product. So of course I'm going to use the K&N air filter cleaner, which I'm going to saturate my filter and wash it out. And let me put that down. And when I'm done with that, I am going to use K&N's oil. This is going to recharge the filter. I'm going to saturate it well, and then I'm going to remount the filter after it's done. Now, between the cleaning and the re-oiling, I do need to let it dry. It is a cotton-based type of material that the filter is made out of. It filters down to 40 microns, so that's very good. You're not going to lose a heck of a lot of horsepower by having that kind of dust on there, but the more it starts to build up, the more you're going to start to suffer. So let's go ahead and move forward. I am going to grab your screwdriver. I am going to undo that band. We're going to remove the filter, and then we're going to move forward to washing and cleaning it. Alrighty, so we are now ready to get started on here. We're going to go ahead and take our flathead screwdriver. We're going to undo the band over there. We're going to take this dirty air filter off, and we're ready to move and clean it. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Let's put you right there. We're going to undo you right here. And it doesn't take a lot, you know, just a few spins on the screw. It doesn't take brute force to loosen this or tighten it up. There you go, loose enough, good enough for me. We're going to slide this fella out and be gentle with the maneuver. There you go. Technically out, but now we gotta get him out. There you go. Now, while the air filter is out, we do have to consider the engine. We now have an exposed cavity right here. So we're gonna protect the engine. I got a roll of paper towel over here. We're gonna wad up an amount that we are gonna put right here to cover the engine so no filth gets inside while we're cleaning the air filter. All right, let me go ahead and get that part done, and then we're gonna move forward to the washing. Alrighty, as I mentioned before, I live in Nevada where it's getting actually mighty hot outside. It's cooking at a nice 107 degrees. So I decided to come inside my home, and I'm gonna go ahead and clean that K&N air filter in my kitchen sink. It's gonna be just as easy to do it outside with a garden hose, but like I said, it's mighty hot outside, so I'd rather do it inside of the AC. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna go ahead and try and wash off or water off some of that dust. We're going to saturate our air filter with the K&N cleaner, and then we're going to go ahead and wash it out. Let's get started. So, and at the same time, I went ahead and I brought with me the cover plate. It is mighty dirty. Not as filthy in the inside as it is the outside, but you know, as long as I'm cleaning it, let me go ahead and just make that happen as well. Which, that won't take a lot. I'll let that soak for a second so I can wash it. Get this out of the way. Now what I'm doing is I'm wetting up the filter itself. I am going to saturate it as much as I can to get it prepared. And you see how like the dust is disappearing and now the filter is turning more pink. That is the color that it's supposed to be because that is the color of the K&N oil. Let's go ahead and wash it out from the inside as well. Alright, now this right here, remember, I am just wetting it down. I haven't even saturated it with a cleaner yet. Alright, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and take our K&N cleaner. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this seam right here as a baseline. So I'm going to start to saturate it. I'm going to work my way around until I get back to the other seam, and then from there we're going to let it soak. As I'm doing this, I can already feel all the fluid dripping down my hands. And it does not taste very nice. And just for cleanliness sake, let's go ahead and clean the inside as well. Oh, that's some strong stuff. Yeah, this is better done outside, by the way. I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and pause for a moment. We're going to let this saturate, and then we're going to wash it out. So we'll be with you momentarily. Alrighty, after a little saturation, we went ahead and washed out the cleaner, washed out all the filth from the air filter as best we could, and we also cleaned out the lid for the air filter housing. As a matter of fact, take a look at it now. Nice and clean, beautiful, inside and out, and you can now clearly read the K&N logo on the housing. Now, the same thing with the air filter. Air filter itself is nice and clean. It is still wet, so I need to put this in a nice, clean, dry area. You see the white versus the pink right there? That means that all that filth is washed off. So considering since it's still very saturated with water, I shook it out as best I could. We're going to locate a very nice dry area to let this dry out on its own. I don't really want to take a hot air gun to it. I don't know how it's going to affect the material that the K&N filter is made out of. So I'm just going to let it dry overnight. Normally my garage is the warmest area. So the saturation of water should evaporate fairly quickly in a couple hours. So up until then, I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm doing. We're gonna take this downstairs, we're gonna let this dry, then we're gonna put it back together. See you in a moment. Alrighty, now that we've finished cleaning our air filter, we're back down in the garage. We're ready to make sure it's completely dry, and we're gonna re-oil it. Now before I do so, I don't remember if I told you that when you're applying your cleaner, to be very generous with it. This is something that's going to take a lot of effect. You want to clean off as much dirt as you can, but you want to be generous with it. Don't be cheap. The bottle is not all that expensive. You can go ahead and just completely saturate it. You need to let it soak for about 10 minutes, then wash it off. And it is a great idea, as I did when I was cleaning it, to do both inside and outside. Let it saturate, let it sit, then wash it off. So what I did is I brought the air filter back into my garage. As I remember mentioning, it was like smoldering hot when I was working on this and started taking it apart. So the garage is the best place because it was like a sauna in here. It was great. So now look at the cleaner now. It is not caked with dirt. You see all that white in there? It's not brown, so it's not dirty. You know, the nice chrome plating on the top is all cleaned up and everything. This is ready for oiling. And as you remember, I was washing the cover plate yesterday. And again, here it is, very nice and clean. The embossed K&N emblems on there. You can just, I easily tell this is clean. And yeah, it's gonna clash with the rest of the dirty engine, but at least looking at this clean plate is gonna reassure me and remind me that yes, I've already cleaned my filter. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna go ahead and take our air cleaner, and we're gonna use our K&N oil. Now, we are gonna be generous with this. But aside of me getting a whole bunch of oil all over my hands, let me get some gloves. Let me make sure I protect my skin. All right. It's not corrosive in any way. It's not going to irritate your skin, but you have to wash your hands anyway. So at the same time of washing your hands, do you want to do that extra cleaning of making sure that you get all that oil off of your skin? You know, it's just one extra step to protect your skin. Keep yourself a little cleaner. At the end of the day, remember, these are chemicals. You don't want to bring these chemicals into your home. Yeah, I did it yesterday with the cleaner. It's better recommended not to do that. Always do this outside in a well-ventilated area. But considering my living situation and how hot it was yesterday, that was my best choice as far as the cleaning. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my air filter, I'm going to put my fist in it. Again, I'm going to go with that seam line, and then I'm going to start to apply this oil on the filter. And I'm going to be generous with this oil as well. Now like I just did yesterday, as I went ahead and I cleaned off the inside, I'm going to go ahead and re-oil the inside. Let's just give it another coat, just for the safe side. You can never be too generous with this oil. All right, and there you have it. Now you can tell it's got a very nice pink coating all over it. That is the color of the oil. In fact, there it is on my glove. You can actually tell that this has been nicely oiled. And there's the residue of the oil on this paper towel. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and just polish off that nice chrome top. Look how pretty that looks. That's what I'm talking about right there. Alrighty, so now we're ready for the next step. We are going to take this filter to the front of the Jeep and we're going to start to install it. Let me... handy paper towel. Make sure you always keep yourself clean in the process. The more frequently you try to clean yourself, the less of a job it becomes at the end of the day. But as I mentioned, let's go ahead. We're going to take our filter, we're going to take our cover plate, we're going to make it back to the Jeep, and we're going to put it back in. All right, so we made it back to the Jeep. The hood's already open. I went ahead and put the air filter in a ready position where I'm going to have it, and of course the cover plate as well. And as you remember yesterday, I went ahead and I put this big wad of paper towel in the intake cavity so that no dirt or debris try to wind itself in there. You don't want dirt going inside your engine. Any little bit of dust in the perspective of the engine is going to act like a boulder and is really going to mess things up for you. So that's something you really want to stay away from. Make sure everything's kept neat and clean and protected of any foreign debris. Alrighty, with everything prepared, we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and take out that big wad of paper towel. And this wad was just enough to cover the cavity. You don't have to shove it all the way in, but just enough to cover the cavity itself so that no debris crawls into that area space. We're going to go ahead and put this right here for right now. Okay, so now we're ready for the air filter itself, the element. What we're going to do is pretty much locate our screw on the band, and now we're going to wiggle it back into the area where it belongs. All right, with the element back in place, we are going to do the opposite of what we did yesterday. We're just going to go ahead and grab our screwdriver, we're going to tighten up the band, and then from there we're going to put the cover plate back on. Like I mentioned, it's only a few screws or a few twists. You don't have to manhandle it. It doesn't take a lot to keep it tight. Now our very clean cover plate. back in place and all the screw holes line up. All right, this is going to be relatively quick. I'm going to go ahead and get all my screw holes lined up. I'm going to tighten it up, and then we're going to show you the end product. From here, we're pretty much done. Let me go ahead and get this finished. I'll be back with you in a second, and I'll show you the end product. Alrighty, and there it is, the finished product. We went ahead and got the air filter installed. We got the cover plate back in. Everything's good to go. You can see that it is the only clean area of the actual engine bay. So I know that I've actually touched this and made good use of it. Now, while we're making light of that, remember, always clean your workspace. You don't want to leave it dirty. My table that I use is actually a folding table, but still, nonetheless, you want to clean it. So don't forget to clean up all your areas. These are chemicals. These are not natural products. Don't ingest, don't inhale. Just make sure you clean up after yourself. Air filter itself is actually good for another, quote unquote, 15,000 miles. But like I said, every environment's different. So of course the atmosphere is going to be different. It's going to be more dusty in more areas than others. And excuse me, I know I'm stuttering. I've got so much going on in my mind today. But yeah, with the more you travel, get in the habit of taking a look at your air filter. Get used to using your tools. Go ahead and take a look at it. Remember, it's breathability. The less it can breathe, the more your engine's going to suffer. The more your gas mileage is going to suffer. So you want to keep that area cleaned. You want to clean the filter or change the filter, whatever is best for you for that situation, for the equipment installed in your vehicle. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And please visit us at desertwranglers.club. I'll put the link in the comments below. Thank you for watching.